Hey YouTube, my name is Heather and I love anti-MLM content here on YouTube. Today I'm excited for us to continue the national wake-up call from the Beachbody that we started in the last video. Now this video is about 32 minutes long without my commentary, and I'm going to try my best to not pause every 5 seconds, but this might be a long video. No guarantee that I'll be able to keep it short. So if it's too long, feel free to X out and you can come back later, or you can just watch a few minutes of it. I promise, no hard feelings. So I'm really excited to watch this video. And as always, please let me know what you think down below.
You guys, I have a featured coach that, get this, her coach ID number is 4 digits long. Yeah, I know. Isn't that great?
Pausing already. I'm sorry. 4 digits long just means she's one of the first coaches. That's all that means.
She's been coaching 15 years. Now, she was traveling, so she and I decided that we would pre-record this interview. So I really, really want you to tag your coaches because this is a very special interview. And let me just bring that up because I think I did her introductions in the interview with her. So hold, please. As part of our Coach Legends series this month of June, I have a coach coming on right now who's been a coach for 15 years. And I'm so excited that she is here to talk about what she's been doing all 15 years. She is a 10-time elite coach. She's a superstar coach, and she's been in the top 10 twice in her 15 years. She's also part of the Legacy Club, which is over time and accumulation of sales. She's earned over $1 million. She's been in Success Club 145 months, which satisfies the all-star legend category. She's from Westlake, Texas, and part of Team Empire, right? Team Empire. And please give it up for Barbie Kalev.
So in the introduction of this coach so far, we learned she is probably the first, in the first thousands of coaches because her ID was only 4 digits long. So she got in early. She started 15 years ago, which in 2007, that's when Beachbody began its multi-level marketing structure. So she got in right at the beginning. She's a 15-star diamond coach. She's in the Legacy Club. She's been in Success Club for 1,000 months in a row. I often call coaches who are high up in rank a top coach, but in this case, she's one of the few who are literally one of the top coaches, meaning they're at close to the top of the whole entire Beachbody pyramid. So remember that she's not just at the top of the compensation plan, but it appears that she's also at the top of the whole pyramid.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Sandy. How are you?
I'm great, and I am more than excited that you're on this call. We've been friends for 15 years. I remember when you started, and you've spoken a lot of times on stage and on wake-up calls. And I wanted you to share with this audience, how you got started, and just, what's your origin story with Beachbody?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on and for this honor. So why I got started. I had just finished my PhD. I had just gotten divorced. I had just lost my dad. And the way that I coped was through hamburgers and margaritas and French fries. And so I needed and wanted to lose weight. I was just about to move to Texas.
So first, before she goes into the story, she was very vulnerable when she came across Beachbody. She went through a divorce, which can be extremely traumatic. She lost a parent and she was coping in a pretty unhealthy manner. And so at that point in her life, she was really desperate for a change and she was very, very vulnerable. And also she has her PhD. So that's a good point to remember that it doesn't matter how intelligent someone is, what kind of life experiences they've had, anyone can be drawn into a multi-level marketing company at the wrong point in their life. She was lucky enough for it to benefit her because she's been in for 15 years and is probably making $1 million a year. So she's one of the lucky ones. But majority of people who are brought into Beachbody when they're at a vulnerable point are not going to have the same experiences as this woman. What do you think?
I said, I need to lose weight. I bumped into my ex-husband at the time with his girlfriend. She had lost all this weight. And I was like, what did she do? And that night, I think I texted him like 50 times. He finally told me about a little program called P90X. I bought it. I came back. I went on a trip to France. I came back and I said, this is it. This is the beginning of my journey. I'm going to start my new life in Texas as an assistant professor, and I want to feel good in my skin. So I started with Slim and Six. Remember that program? And I lost about 11 pounds, but I gained so much more. I gained the confidence. I felt like myself. Originally, I had no intention of being a Beachbody coach. And when I decided to become a coach, it was because I wanted to help people. That's all I ever said. I just want to help people. I do not want to build a business. But when I started getting my results, it was like I was contagious. I couldn't help myself. I was telling everyone about my experience because
So she said at the beginning of her journey, she did not want to build a business. She just wanted to help. We need to remember that she came in near the beginning of the MLM, where she could have been like the 4,000th coach. And the environment, the experience of a coach would have been different in 2007 as it is now. When she started, maybe there weren't people making $1 million a year. Maybe there weren't people with massive financial success right out of the gate. And maybe once she realized that you can make $1 million a year in this business, that her motive and her inspiration for doing her job might have changed. So first about this woman, I think she has a great personality. She's obviously extremely intelligent because you have to be to go through a PhD program and get a position as an assistant professor. It's not an easy task to get into academia. I like her as a person. I'd probably want to be her friend in real life. However, people who are at the top of the Beachbody pyramid, they know that everyone below them is losing money so they can make money. And I'm kind of torn with her, just like I am with the person who did the business activity tracker videos. It's great to be kind to your coaches and respectful, but they have to know that their coaches are struggling underneath them. And so I'm torn. What do you think?
I had been a lifelong dieter. I had started dieting when I was 14, always hitting the gym, never getting any results. And finally, I got results and it felt easy. It wasn't a struggle. Fast forward about 9 months later, I found out that Tony Horton was going to be at an event and I had made
Sorry, quickly. She had a pretty negative relationship with food and exercise as a kid, and she came into Beachbody, and thankfully it helped her relationship with food and exercise. But I think for a lot of people who have a background with negative relationships with food, that it could potentially make their relationships even worse and can potentially contribute to an ED or a negative relationship with fitness and your body. What do you think?
All these friends online. This is right around the time that Facebook started. And I attended an event and I heard some success stories, coaches that were able to do wonderful things for their families and their community. And I remember sitting in that seat. I remember the hotel, which is not very far from here. It was a Westin. And I remember saying, the American dream is alive. I get goosebumps every time I repeat that because I said to myself, if it can happen for them, it can happen for me. And from that moment on, it was on.
That's a good description of the purpose of multi-level marketing conventions. It's to make it seem like the dream is attainable, the success that the people who are recognized is attainable, and to light a fire in your belly and make you think that you can do it too. In 2007, when she went to this event, there was probably not 25,000 people there. It could have been a couple thousand maybe. And I understand how it could be so inspirational to see someone who made $1 million in their business and it's just like a small group setting, and there might be a feeling of exclusivity that you feel so great just being in the same room as that person. So that could make you think that you can reach that level of success too. What do you think about that?
Was going to be not only a physical success story, but I was also going to be successful in the business.
I love that story, and it gave me chills because I think I was at that event, right? But also, oops, somebody is texting me. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's real life, right?
It is real life. But I wanted to ask you, I mean, obviously with 10 times elite and 145 months in Success Club, you've never taken your eyes off of the prize, which is to help people.
Sandy, that's not the prize. And you know that. If you wanted to help people, you'd be like a nurse or a social worker or a therapist or a teacher, one of the many actual helping professions. If you want to help people, you're not going to go into an MLM where the vast majority of your downline is making no money or even losing money so you can get rich. So that's bullshit.
How about in the last 1 or 2 years? What has been your commitment level to coaching in just recent years?
Yeah, so the pandemic, as awful as it has been, made so many of us realize what really matters. And one of the things that I realized when the pandemic was happening, because you guys, I have been coaching, that just gave me chills again. I have been coaching for 1/3 of my life. And so it's almost as if I had taken it for granted that Beachbody was there. Beachbody has held me. Beachbody has nurtured me. The fitness and nutrition has always been there for me. And so
that's weird. Have you ever described your job as holding you and nurturing you? I feel like my job is a place to go to work, do my job, and then come home. And I am lucky enough to have a caring boss who, like, if she notices I'm not feeling well or I'm off, like, she'll ask me what's going on. But I would never think of my job as holding me and as nurturing me. But maybe when you're in the same MLM for 15 years, like this woman was, maybe that's why she feels like her job has nurtured her and held her, because she's going to talk about it later. She's 48 and she started when she was 33, and 15 years is a long time. You go through a lot of different life changes in that time. And I could see how going through all those life changes in one workplace may make you feel more attached to said workplace. What do you think about that? I think that's kind of weird, but it's weird because it's weird because I think it would never apply to me, but I could see kind of how it could apply to someone who's been in the same workplace for 15 years.
It has been in the healing space. They talk about a sacred container. And so I realized that that's what we are. That's what Beachbody is. It's a sacred container. It's a place where people go to be held and nurtured. And so when life has gotten more difficult in the past few years, my commitment to myself and to my community, whether it's my customers or my coaches, has increased. There is such a need now for what we have, especially because there is a mental health crisis, and fitness and nutrition can really aid with that.
So there's a few things to talk about. She could just call the Beachbody a sacred container. What do you think about that? Do you think there's a strong religious connotation to that? I think that could be giving Beachbody more importance than it actually deserves, more influence in your life, and making it seem like if you come into Beachbody, you're going to be held and nurtured. All of your life's problems are going to be gone, and you can lean in with this community and really rely on your team members. I think that sounds culty. I don't like that. I asked my dad what he thought about describing your job as a sacred container, and he knew what he wanted to do when he was young, right? And so when he got into the job that he wanted, he respected it, really respected the profession, respected the building, respected what he was doing and what everyone else was doing. But he said, like, he agreed, extremely culty. And it is one thing to respect your industry and your profession and your employer and your coworkers. There's another thing to call your industry or sector a sacred container, because in the vast majority of other industries, you go and you do your job and you come home. Of course, in some jobs, you have to bring your work home with you. But have you ever been in a job that it was described in this way? I feel like this would be a huge red flag, because I would wonder, why is my job holding and nurturing me? Why can't my spouse do that? Why can't my family members do that? Second, she's saying there's a mental health crisis and that fitness and nutrition can really aid in that. Yes, that's true. However, therapy can also aid in that too. And I know that's easier said than done. Therapy is not accessible to the not vast majority, to a lot of people. It's inaccessible because of the price. But I don't like the idea that Beachbody coaches tout sometimes that if you have depression and anxiety, do these programs, eat better, and then you will get past your mental health struggles. And every person is unique. Every person's experience with their mental health struggles is unique. Some people might need to be on medication. Some people might need intensive behavioral therapy or a different kind of therapy. And eating better might help them a little bit, but if it's something like a chemical imbalance in their brain, they need medication. And they may also need to have like behavioral therapy as well. Everyone is unique. Everyone is different. Just because one person with depression might experience some benefits to eating Beachbody supplements, doesn't mean another person with depression is also going to have that same benefit. Sorry, that was a major ramble. I said I was not going to talk as much, and I'm talking the same. So I'm sorry.
I'm here. I am listening, and I am here. And I asked you to be on this call because 15 years later, what does coaching look like from when you started, and what keeps you engaged in what a coach does?
Yeah. So 15 years later, I love this question because I really had to think about it. I mean, 15 years is a long time for life to happen. And I hadn't thought about this question, but when I did think about it, I realized that it really goes back to the vital behaviors. It goes back to, the key things that we are supposed to do in our business. Those are the things that I still do. So I have three things that I want to share with you, things I still do. So number one, I still work out to Beachbody workouts. I use the supplements. And at first, when you and I spoke, Sandy, I had said that fitness and nutrition were my anchor. But just a few minutes before the call, I said, you know what? No, it's not that fitness and nutrition are my anchor. What's an anchor? An anchor keeps the ship, us, a metaphorical ship. It's me, my body, my being. It keeps it from going away, right? From getting lost. And so Beachbody has been my anchor, and I have the vehicle has been the Beachbody products and the nutritionals. So when I first started.
So she's saying that Beachbody is her anchor, and her definition of anchor is what keeps her body and her being from being lost. So that kind of narrative makes me think she's trying to say that without Beachbody, she wouldn't be the person that she is today. She would not be successful. She would not have the relationships that she has. She wouldn't be where she is mentally without Beachbody. Again, that's extremely culty. You are giving all credit to your accomplishments to Beachbody instead of to you as a person. And would you ever call your job your anchor? No. My job, I go to work, I do my job, I come home. The people who are my anchor, like my actual anchors, would be like my spouse and my parents and people who know me better than anyone else and who know how to help me make decisions and do what's best for me. I think the fact that you're calling an MLM company an anchor is a huge red flag for prospective coaches. First off, why is Beachbody why is Beachbody taking over her whole identity? Second off, well, what about my loved ones? Why is my job my anchor? I don't know. I think that's weird. I'm not really verbalizing myself clearly, but let me know what you think about the idea of Beachbody being this woman's anchor.
I want to talk a little bit about how my fitness journey has evolved over time and how my relationship to my workouts and my nutrition has evolved. So when I first started, I needed to lose weight. I wanted to lose weight. It was really a journey about me. And because I was so enthusiastic, I was contagious, right? In the best way. People wanted to join me. And so that helped my business. That helped me connect with other people. And I, the person who did not have the intention of building a business, was able to build a beautiful business. I was the 17th person to enter the Legacy Club. And then during tough times,
of course, you were one of the first people to enter the Legacy Club because you were one of the first people in the door. So that's not really a testament to your work ethic and your belief in Beachbody. That's a testament to when you got into the scheme. What do you think?
5 years ago, I had a hysterectomy, for example, and I wasn't able to work out. Where was Beachbody? Beachbody was the anchor once again for me, for my being, my friends in Beachbody, my customers, my coaches. And I was really able to, I just saw an image of a life raft. I was really able to hold on to this life raft during these difficult times. And because of the community that exists and that I myself created. And then now,
what do you think about that? So she went through a hysterectomy, which is terrible and traumatic and scary. And she said that Beachbody was her anchor during that time. And her friends in Beachbody and the community she created helped her get through a really scary time in her life. What happens if you're in Beachbody and then you go through something terrible, but say like you decide to quit and you leave the MLM and you think that you're still going to have your friends with you to help you through a traumatic time, and they're not with you because you're not in the MLM anymore? When you become so dependent on your MLM team, the idea of going through life struggles without your MLM team becomes daunting, and I feel like that could make someone even more dependent on their Beachbody team. I've said this 1,000 times. So say you get a hysterectomy and you can't work, like what you just said, you can't work. So you only focus on the nutritionals, and your entire team rallies around you and like sends you care packages and helps you cook your meals and takes you to the doctor and like watches your kids when you go into your appointments, right? And I feel like it would be hard in that case. It'd be hard for you to imagine life without your Beachbody team. And that will make you stay in longer. Even if you're not making any money, even if you're going into debt, you'll say, well, I can't leave. They helped me through my hysterectomy. I wouldn't have been able to get through it without their support. What do you think? I think that could just lead to a really vicious cycle of people who are continuously losing money, but are scared to leave their MLM because how do I get through life without these people, right?
Now I'm 48 years old, so I've been alive for almost 5 decades, and I've shifted. In the beginning, it was about weight loss and looking good. And now at 48, I still want to look great, but for now, it's really about true health. And I've had health challenges. I've dealt with autoimmune issues. I have dealt with mold poisoning. I have dealt with, hysterectomy, hormone issues. I mean, life has happened. And so
I think a hysterectomy is more than just life happening. It's a life-changing surgery that is potentially, like, it is dangerous. You could have really adverse side effects from it. And I'll just let her talk. Sorry.
I see myself as a guiding light, as a North Star for other people. I see Beachbody as a North Star. I see myself as a North Star for people who may be on a similar journey. So yes, of course, if you want to lose weight, I will help someone lose weight, but it's so much more than that. So that is one thing that I still do. My commitment to my workouts, to my nutrition, to the supplements, I just had a Shakeology before our call, is strong. And I would even say stronger than ever because I have more reasons. Like I'm choosing life. I'm choosing life, living life with vibrancy and not just looking a certain way. The second thing that I still do.
What do you think about the idea of having commitment to products? Please let me know what you think about this down below. I can't think of a single product that in my brain I'm like, I'm committed to this product. I like certain like coffee beverages. I like my computer. What I don't even know. Like the idea of being committed to a product is so strange to me. But in the Beachbody context, the products are why people find success. The products are why people lose weight, why they're a better husband, wife, best friend, sister, aunt, why they're successful. It's not because they grew up and matured and had new life experiences and improved into certain areas of their life. It's because of Shakeology. It's because of the mixed bike. It's not because of that person having the motivation and the autonomy to want to change their life and then the discipline to actually follow through. What do you think about the idea of being committed to products? Let me know.
It's also a vital behavior, personal development. Remember back then, I don't know if we say it the same way, but read 10 pages a day. In the beginning, I had real limiting beliefs around money and worthiness. And so I began personal development. I think I was always interested in personal development, but I took my role as a coach seriously. And when Beachbody said, read 10 pages a day, I read 20 pages a day. And so reading and listening to, I don't even know if we had Audible back then, but I remember one CD in particular, Zig Ziglar's Gold, which I listened to this morning to see like, what did this young person 15 years ago need? And I was able to get what I needed to become who I needed to become, to be the leader that would be able to lead a huge team and that would be able to one day be invited to a call with legends. So I wrote down a song, If I Had $1 Million by Bare Naked Ladies. I used music as personal development, and I would like mop my house, my apartment with the dogs, and I would visualize. I mean, I was practicing manifestation techniques before I even knew what manifestation was.
That's an interesting story, using music as personal development. That's pretty interesting. I said this before, manifestation is great if it's something that you can control, right? But there's no way that you can know for sure that that just because you say you're going to get $1 million in Beachbody, that's actually going to happen for you, because you could do all the tasks that you need to do to reach that kind of financial success in Beachbody, and that's great. However, you're not going to be able to find success unless you recruited a lot of people who also recruit a lot of people, like we already know, and unless you are like her and you get into the company at the very, very beginning. So positive manifestation, great, but I don't think it's not going to do anything for you in an MLM. They always say, write down your goals, say them out loud, put them on Instagram, and then people will hold you accountable. Again, it's useless. It's not going to do anything because you're in a system that's literally set up for people like her who are at the top of the whole ass pyramid to make money off of the people below them who are losing money or making no money. What do you think about that?
Jim Rohn, John Maxwell. I use these books to help me become a leader. I know that a lot of coaches, they worry that they don't have the leadership skills, that they won't be able to guide their team. You guys, no one is born a leader, right? Some people may have more leadership potential, but I'm a much better leader today as a result of the experience, as a result of all those years. But when I first started I'm absolutely sure of this. It was my absolute enthusiasm and joy that made me a magnet for people. And so
coaches are at the top of Beachbody, literally the top of the whole pyramid. They don't seem to acknowledge their privilege of coming in the first year or two of the MLM structure. She just said before she was a leader, it was her joy and excitement that drew people to her. And I'm thinking, well, why? What about the fact that you were in so early, where less and less people knew about Beachbody, less people knew about the harms of multi-level marketing. And when the Beachbody team at Beachbody Network was a brand new shiny thing, in my opinion, that would make it easier to sell. So I wish these coaches who were in at the beginning would sit there and say, I found success at the beginning because I was in early, which therefore made it easier for me to recruit. What do you think about that?
Of course, you have to develop yourself. And of course, I develop myself through personal development. But it was really just my joy and my enthusiasm for everything that I was doing and everything Beachbody that made me a magnet. And then today, it's personal development. It's part of my essence. It's who I am. I wake up in the morning. This is what I learned from personal development. I don't get out of bed until I know what I'm excited about, until I have said what I'm grateful for. The first thing that I do is I reach for personal development in the morning. And so something that I could not have anticipated, because I think a lot of times we live in little compartments and we tend to isolate, like, okay, this is Beachbody. Okay, this is my personal life. No, personal development has infiltrated in the best possible way my life, and it has made me just a better human being. Because of the work that I do as a coach, where we really are listening, we really are present to people's stories, I can't seem to go anywhere and not connect with people. I just had a car wash. And
so first she said, personal development has infiltrated every part of her life in the best possible way. And she doesn't see a separation between Beachbody and her everyday life. That makes me seem, again, that makes it seem that Beachbody has become her identity and she can't separate herself from Beachbody, because like a lot of the top coaches like to say, I bleed Beachbody blue. So Beachbody is who she is. And I think that's sad, because again, my workplace is not who I am. My workplace is not my essence and my being. My personal life, my personality, what I like to do outside of work, it's completely separate from my employment. What do you think? And then she's saying because of her job as a coach and her personal development, that she is now a better person. Why can't that just happen from growing up? Because she's been in the MLM for 15 years. 33 is when she started. She's now 48. 15 years for anyone, that you are going to go through a lot of changes. You're going to have a lot of different life experiences. Your personality may change a bit because we're always changing. I think back to how I was 15 years ago, and of course, I was a completely different person than I am now. That's just part of growing up and evolving as a person. And again, her becoming a better person, it's not because of just normal life experiences and changing. It's because of Beachbody. It's because of personal development. And there's no way that she would have found personal development without Beachbody. Nothing wrong with personal development, nothing wrong with wanting to improve yourself, but you do not need to be in an MLM to do so. You can find podcasts, YouTube videos, you can buy these books yourself. You do not need to be in an MLM. What do you think?
And, there was a woman there, and by, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, I knew her life story. I knew that her daughter has cancer. I knew why she was in Texas. And so personal development has been such a gift, because it has allowed me to become a person that feels worthy. When you invited me to this call, I think had you invited me at a different time in my life, Sandy, I would have said like, oh my God, but why me? Why me? As like, I'm not deserving. And personal development has just allowed me to truly, truly love myself and accept myself and say, you are worthy. You are worthy of this honor. And so
Again, can't that just be from growing up? I don't understand why everything has to be drawn back to your workplace, to Beachbody. And as you grow up, as you evolve, you're going to develop more self-confidence. Probably me 5 years ago, I would not have done a lot of the things that I do now. I think my comfort zone has expanded. And I do think I'm a more brave person, a more outgoing person, because of my normal life experiences, because of just growing up. I know she was an adult when she started in Beachbody, but there's a huge difference between 33 and 48. This is just growing up, Barbie. I don't understand why everything needs to be connected back to the workplace.
That is one thing that I will continue to do, personal development till the day that I die. I did want to mention something about using personal development to reinvent myself. This is such a crucial point. When I started in this business, pretty much anything that I did stuck, right? It worked. It just worked. And then
everything you did worked because you were one of the first people in the scheme.
doing the same thing stopped working. And there are so many coaches that experience this. I've seen it over the 15 years where they internalize what they see as their failure. Yet it's not a failure. It's just that things change, right? Technology changes, social media, God, you know, we know how much social media changes, and we have to change with life. I mean, if we look at, and again, I have that privilege of having a bird's eye view of the changes that Beachbody has gone through. We've gone through VHS to DVDs to BOD. I mean, people were all up in arms when we moved to BOD, like, and now we're a public company. Just
people were up in arms when Beachbody moved to Beachbody on Demand, because people were getting less commissions. Before, people had to buy a program separately in DVDs, and people would get more commission because there are more products that they were selling. And now with Beachbody on Demand, it's just a yearly fee, and you get one-time commission. So I completely understand why people were up in arms. It changed their income. Also, I think she's trying to say it's a very covert description of toxic positivity. So say Beachbody changed its structure and you lost money. No, you're not allowed to be upset that you lost money, you lost income, even though this is your livelihood. You have to look at it as, okay, I need to be adaptable. I need to change with Beachbody. No, if Beachbody went from DVDs to Beachbody on Demand and you lost money because of that, you're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to express your feelings. It's not being negative, just to express how you feel about a situation. What do you think about that?
So many changes, and now we have Body. We have to move. I've had to be able to change with the times, and personal development, not only like the spiritual, emotional, psychological, although that has been just key, but also books on marketing, looking at other business models has allowed me to reinvent myself, but also to do it with fun and to keep my joy. And I need a sip.
Why would someone in multi-level marketing want to learn about other business models? I don't really understand that. What do you think?
Of water, because I am so excited about this. Hold on.
You are doing great. You have me smiling.
So,
okay, so now inviting.
So yes, I still pay it forward by inviting. I said when I began, I was 33 years.
Notice the verbiage of pay it forward by inviting. So she's one of the few people who were lucky enough to make lots and lots of money in Beachbody because she's at the top of the whole ass pyramid. So to her, she is paying it forward. She's paying the opportunity for that changed her life. And she's going to say that she wants to help other people change their lives as well. But I think at this point, well, after she's been in for 15 years, she must know that the vast majority of people in Beachbody do not have her experience, and they're even losing money or making no money. And so it's just a way to make inviting seem less icky, less predatory, less unethical. When people have the gut feeling that what they're doing is wrong and that they're uncomfortable with inviting people to this because they're not actually making money themselves, they're taught to switch the narrative in their head and instead think of it as passing the gift on, sharing the gift, paying it forward instead of trying to get people to be a member of your downline or purchasing a product so you can get a commission or potentially grow your team cycle bonus. What do you think about that?
Years old, I was the type that it's like, do it my way or the highway. I didn't understand that life happened. I didn't understand that life happens and that sometimes people have real struggles, real challenges, whether it's health or psychological, just life happens. And so I've changed, and I've changed because I've had life happen to me. I'm number one, almost 50. I'm perimenopausal, fun times. I've had a hysterectomy. I've dealt with autoimmune issues. I mean, there's a whole, and hold on a second. I've dealt with all those things, and I am still standing, and I am still working my business, and I am still committed to my fitness journey, my health journey. I still am committed and will always be committed to having a wonderful life.
First off, Barbie, I understand you've been through a lot health-wise, and I'm sorry for that. But just because you were able to get through a hysterectomy and continue working your business does not mean that someone else who went through a hysterectomy will also have the same reaction to you. Surgery in general is scary, even if it's not as serious as a hysterectomy. And everyone reacts to every situation in a slightly different way. What could be life-ending, life-changing for you, Barbie, might be like a Tuesday for someone else, right? And if someone went through a similar experience to you and they had to take a step back from their business, that does not mean they're not committed. That does not mean they don't want to live a wonderful life. It means that their mental well-being is strained because of their very stressful life experiences, and they're establishing an internal boundary in their head, and they're prioritizing their own mental and physical well-being over the business. I hate that narrative. Look, I kept working through all these health issues. That means you have to as well. Now it seems everyone has the same brain makeup, the same histories, the same reactions to every single situation ever. And everyone's unique, everyone's different, and everyone deserves the space to react to things in their lives in the way that's true to them. What do you think?
And there's a whole demographic that is around my age that needs my voice. I am needed. You are needed. I am an example. You are an example of what is possible. And so for me to, I mean, you could see I'm like all worked up and emotional. For me to hold back and to not invite into our sacred container through BOD groups, through whatever we use to support our customers and our coaches, how can I hold this back? And so I don't.
Anyone else agree that sacred container seems culty as hell, and it's weird as fuck to be calling your workplace a sacred container? What do you think?
Right, and I'm having so much fun, and I really, really struggled because I didn't want people to I didn't want to be labeled as the sick person. I didn't want to attract people. I mean, these were all limiting beliefs, right? I didn't want to attract people that were sick and that weren't going to work and that weren't going to be committed to their fitness. And then I had to check myself thanks to personal development. And I realized, like, wait a second, I've been through life's challenges and I'm not lazy and I'm not a victim and I don't label myself. And I just needed key people and key books and the anchor that is Beachbody to ground me and to take me to that next level. And so I'm so grateful for the challenges that life has thrown my way, because it has allowed me to help a whole different demographic and the opportunity.
We've learned several times in Beachbody that you're supposed to narrow down your audience, narrow down your niche, and make your Beachbody avatar. So she's just explaining that her life's challenges opened her up to a whole other demographic. And in this case, it's women who are close to reaching menopause, who've been through several very serious health challenges, who might be having hormonal struggles, who may be struggling with losing weight. And in my opinion, like, you're taught to look for people who you like who are similar to you before Beachbody. And the vast majority of the time it's vulnerabilities, right? It's people who were just out of college, who aren't making any money, brand new stay-at-home parents, military spouses who move around across the country constantly, people without friends, people with mental health challenges, people who struggle with getting pregnant, a whole list of challenges that all make people more vulnerable. So I think that's what she's saying when she said her challenges opened her up to a whole new market, meaning women her age who are vulnerable because of the same reasons, the same things that she went through herself.
You know, they say, I was just repeating this with my husband, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but you can get better healthcare. And so, you know, having to deal with all these different issues, like money has been needed to pay out of pocket for a lot of things. And so the opportunity, yes, we talk about all the things that being a coach, the financial aspects of being a coach can allow us to do. And here's the disclaimer that Beachbody doesn't guarantee any level of success. It all is dependent on your skill and your personal qualities or whatever. There he goes. Results may vary, but also how can I not invite people to the opportunity when my life has been so abundantly blessed in every single aspect? And so it's easy once you get in touch with what you love about the company, what you love about the workouts, what you love about our nutritionals, what you love about the community, and how you have been blessed through coaching. Even if you have not made any amount of money, like, here's the community, invite to that.
So you're told before you actually make money in Beachbody to invite to something else, right? Because you can't say, "Oh, I made so much money in Beachbody." You can too. No, you find the non-financial aspects that might draw in vulnerable people who are vulnerable in a different way, right? And so, say you just moved to a new city and you're by yourself for the first time, you don't have any friends, you might be more willing to join an MLM when someone talks about how amazing the community is, how they help you through your hard times, how they're your support system, and you might be more vulnerable to being drawn into an MLM, right? And I just hate the idea of people who are sad, who are lonely, who can't find friends, who don't have true, genuine connections, that all of those vulnerabilities are preyed upon to bring them into this system where, in my opinion, friendships are transactional. And if that individual is no longer in the MLM anymore, all of those people that they start to rely on are not their friends. What do you think about the idea of MLM friendships being transactional? If you have experiences with that kind of concept, please let me know down below. I'd love to hear it.
And so I am so passionate still about bringing people into my fold and into my community. And I wanted to talk about.
You're so passionate about it because that's your paycheck. You get your team cycle bonus from your entire left leg, your entire right leg, and you want to make sure that you have you want to make sure you have a good amount of personally sponsored coaches who are at a really high rank. And then when they get the maximum $12,000 per week team cycle bonus, you're making $1,200 a week off of every single one of those coaches. So she doesn't even need to have tons and tons of personally sponsored coaches. In my opinion, I think she needs to have few who are at a very high rank who are cycling to the maximum amount, and then she's set for life, in my opinion. What do you think?
About the last thing that I wanted to talk about was my journey with social media and how it's changed over time. When I first started, there were no rules. Facebook had just been invented, and 2007 was such a key year, right? Facebook had just been invented. We were still on the message boards. There were no rules. I was posting. I was pure enthusiasm. I was posting, I don't know, 10 times a day, telling everyone about everything, probably got blocked a few times, and it didn't matter to me. And you know what? You have to follow your enthusiasm. Then time passed. Someone moved my cheese. That's a book, like someone moves your cheese. And I got lost. I aged a little bit, right? I went from 33 to 40. And social media changed. I changed, and I had to find a way. And so there have been, in the course of 15 years, many times where I felt like I lost my compass in terms of social media. You know, for a while, I didn't have to invite. Then I started inviting when we had the game plan. It was something that we came up with, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago.
Ooh, what's his game plan? I would like to see that, although I know it's probably not written down anywhere. But that would be cool to see.
It's like, invite 2 people a day. Then all of a sudden we were inviting 30 people a day. And I was like, okay, I'll do this. Okay, we're not supposed to post on Facebook. Okay, I won't post on Facebook. I'll go to Instagram. And so now I'm coming out of this plateau where I really felt disconnected. I couldn't connect to Reels, for example. And so I just looked within again.
What do you think about this story of having trouble adapting with social media? I think it's probably exaggerated a little bit, in my opinion. I think a coach like this at the top of the pyramid, she's trying to find a way to relate to people at the bottom who are struggling and say, look, everything I've done in this business has not come easy. I struggle too, just like you. We're exactly the same. Although in reality, yeah, just change how you invite, change where you post. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but in my opinion, I think she might be exaggerating the actual impact of changes in social media. What do you think about that?
Personal development. Thank you. And I said, what does my heart desire? What do I desire? I want to be authentic. I am authentic. I want to truly, truly connect with people. I think people are hungry for deep conversation. I think people are hungry for authenticity. So I've asked myself, how can I do that? I created a podcast, Next Level Greatness, and I'm not saying that everybody should go out there and create a podcast. No, I'm saying that I was following the path of my joy. And what that has done is it has allowed me to stay engaged in this anchor that is Beachbody, in this community. People who resonate with me are reaching out to me. And so right now I don't have to, and I don't want to invite, 20, 30 people a day, because I'm doing what is true to me, so that people are coming to me.
So just because you follow the path of your greatest joy and you're doing what makes you happy and fulfilled does not mean you're going to have the same experience as this woman and you're going to just post about your joy and all these people are going to come to you. People are coming to her because she is an extremely well-known figure in Beachbody. She's at the top of the whole ass freaking pyramid. She's been in for 1,000 years. I don't remember how many followers she has, but I would bet that she has a good following on Instagram. All these people like to say your following doesn't matter. You can do this with barely any followers. But in my opinion, that's bullshit, because say if you have 10,000 people on Instagram, but before you join Beachbody, that's 10,000 people who look at your stuff, who like your content enough to follow you, who could potentially be a recruit. So don't fall for this. Just because you post what you like and what you're passionate about does not mean that you're suddenly going to be doing attraction marketing and everyone's going to come to you and you no longer have to invite. She's in an extremely privileged position where 99.99999% of coaches are not. What do you think?
Secret sauce, I have to remember this when I'm in year 17 or 18. It could happen next month. When I feel a little bit disconnected, my advice to myself is connect with your joy. Find a way to tell your story. So I said that I was afraid that people would think that I was like a sick person and that I wouldn't be able to attract customers that really wanted some real change in their life. But what I'm finding is that I'm attracting people that are very authentic. I'm attracting people that have been through life, but they just need that little guidance to go to the next level. And so I'm having beautiful conversations behind the scenes, and I'm inviting. It's almost like I've gone for full circle. When I first started, I cared so deeply about each individual that messaged me. It was a life that I had an opportunity to touch, and I just gave myself goosebumps. And I think somewhere along the way, through the ups and downs, I lost touch with that a little bit. And now here I am, 15 years later, really feeling the need and the desire from my soul to connect with people privately. And so that's
I think you have a desire in your soul to connect with people privately, because in my opinion, that's the way that you can control the narrative and you can control what information is available to your potential prospect. Because in my opinion, that's why when you see Beachbody coaches on Instagram talk about an amazing new program and they say like leave an emoji below and I'll DM you, and then people leave emojis below and then they go message them privately, that's not because they just want to have an impact and touch a life and change it for the better. That's because they don't want to share information about Beachbody in a public setting, because then someone could go to a different coach and sign up. Someone could go purchase Energize on the website and not even go through a coach. So that's not, wanting to connect with people privately is not some altruistic charitable act. It's just because you want to be able to control the information. I have a video on my channel about not sharing the company name, and that's because, again, you want to control the information that your prospects have access to. What do you think?
That's it, Sandy. That's all I've got. So I still pay it forward.
You are absolutely a joy. I am just blown away at your growth, the changes that you've made, the dedication to your craft. I mean, I wrote down.
Why are you blown away with her growth? She's been in for 1,000 years. Of course, someone who's been in for 1,000 years, who's at the top of the company, is going to grow, is going to make lots of money. And she's not doing this just to pay it forward. She's doing this to ensure her paycheck stays massive. What do you think?
Notes because Who Moved My Cheese? Oh my gosh, one of my favorite books. It deals with change. And so every time you entered like a new change in your circle of life, you go back to reading about it and leaning into it. The other thing is that your growth over time and your belief over time in Beachbody like just keeps getting solidified. You know, you started coaching at 33, and we have a lot of coaches in that sweet spot age group. And so it's like you are a testament to the not only the age, but the time you put into coaching. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yes.
You're still the same person, although very, evolved.
We've evolved,
But
she's not evolved only because of Beachbody. As I already said, huge difference between 33 and 48. You go through a lot of life in 15 years, anyone does. And they always, Beachbody coaches, MLM distributors like to say, oh, if I looked at me 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have even recognized myself. Me, I've never been in an MLM. If I look at the me that I was 5 years ago, I was a completely different person, different mindset. I was in like a different employment. I was living in a different part of my city. I talked to different people. I had different friends. Everyone changes. No one stays exactly the same. And I think they're trying to say that she is so different. She is so evolved now because of Beachbody, not just through the natural process of aging and changing. And yeah, what do you think about that?
But you're still the same person, and you still care deeply about people and them living a healthy, fulfilling life, but I just think that having you on today, 15 years, if coaches who are 33 right now or whatever age they're at can look 15 years into the future, they don't have to do it with any fear, because as you grow and develop as a person, it'll all work itself out.
Someone in Beachbody now, if they stay in for 15 years, they're not going to have Barbie Kalev's experience, because there's no way that they're going to make it to the very top of the Beachbody pyramid. I don't like that kind of connection. They're saying, in my opinion, I think they're saying if you stay in long enough for 15 years, you're going to be just like Barbie Kalev, and you're going to be this evolved, amazing human, and you're going to make lots of money and be at the top of the pyramid. That's not true. I think on the National Wake Up Calls, I've talked about this a lot. They'll have people like Barbie Kalev and other 15-star Diamond Elite coaches on there to make new coaches think like, oh, it'd be so amazing for me to get there. And then they also have coaches who experience significant growth in a short period of time, who went from Diamond to 5-star Elite in like 6 months. And then they'll have coaches who got to like 1-star Diamond, 2-star Diamond in a year. And the people who got to 1-star in a year, that's the more attainable level of success. That's something that a Diamond or an Emerald coach can say, oh, well, I can do that in a year too. I'm going to push. And then you have people who are elite and like Barbie Kalev at the top of the pyramid. And that's kind of like your more long-term vision. So if you push for a little bit, you can get to 1-star Diamond in a year. If you keep pushing for 15 years, you'll eventually be like Barbie Kalev. I think the topics and the guests of these National Wake Up Calls are picked very strategically. And in my opinion, they are an indoctrination tool. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think you just said the key thing. You have to grow and develop yourself as a person, and that has to be a conscious choice. I feel like I remember seeing you make a post about being 50, and I've always looked up to you because I think you're just a little bit older than me, right? So
wow, way to out me, Barbie.
Oh, sorry, is that a secret? No, it shouldn't be though, right? It shouldn't be. But what I just have realized, and this is really just recent within the past month, it's like, holy moly, the wisdom that can come from aging is that outweighs any wrinkle, any other things that may happen that are not so fun. But I love the wisdom that I'm gaining and that I'm stepping into as I get older. But it's
I like that kind of attitude. That's good. Because yeah, when you age, you have more life experiences, you develop a different outlook in life. And it's not all negative. It's not all just wrinkles. It's about, yeah, the wisdom that you gain. So Barbie, I like that outlook. Good job.
a choice, because I also see a lot of people who don't accept that invitation to grow, and then they just get bitter, right? And
well, I think new coaches come on board and they don't have the wisdom yet, or the experience, or the time in the job. And so they're eclipsed by limiting beliefs.
yes,
But coaching is a journey. I mean, it's like practicing medicine. Like, doctors don't know it all. They keep growing and learning and gaining more wisdom and experience in what they're doing. So when they say practicing medicine, we're practicing coaching. We're
Sandy, you know that's stupid. And that's because when you're a doctor, I don't know, any doctors, let me know down below how much schooling you had to go through, how much studying you have to go through a degree, then medical school. And then my fiance's friend's wife just went through her residency. It takes a long ass time to be a doctor. And then, of course, you're continuing to grow and learn when you're like an official full-fledged doctor. But as a coach, you don't get much training. This is your training. Your team calls are your training. You don't get actual business coaching, business training to help you advance in your business, to help you market, to help you train your team and be an actual true leader. You don't get any of that. So Sandy, you know that comparison is invalid and dumb. Doctors get training, actual proper real training. Beachbody coaches do not. What do you think about that comparison?
yes,
practicing belief, we're practicing confidence, resiliency. And, the more you do it, the better you get, but you're never really perfect. You continue to check yourself. I wrote that down too.
yes.
You continue to do that. And I just love, you had a lot of really wonderful things, like Beachbody is your anchor. And you just really summed it up very well. What about a superpower? Let me end the call with the in the last couple of years, you've probably had to flex different muscles or the same muscles, but what do you think you've focused on that has become your now superpower?
Yeah. So authenticity is absolutely my superpower. It's what people write to me about all the time when they connect with me. People are like, I love how real you are. I love how authentic you are. So I would say that has been my guiding star. But also I made a rule, and it's
to be authentic in MLM means you have to share every struggle. You have to share everything that makes you a little bit vulnerable in order to make people feel like you're relatable, that they can connect to your story. Months and months ago on this channel, we did a video on how to be vulnerable in MLM with Jessie Lee Ward. Somehow I think that was the most viewed video on my channel. It was pretty cool. A lot of people really enjoyed it. It's just to bring other vulnerable people into your team so people are finally around others who have the same experience as them, who feel like they can relate to you. And that makes it less likely that a vulnerable person with potentially traumatic life experiences is going to leave, because if they leave the MLM, then they're not going to be surrounded by people with similar experiences and who understand their struggles. What do you think?
It's not really a superpower, but I've made a rule for myself, and that is, no matter what life throws at me, and I made this as a child, they made up this rule as a child when we were on public assistance, and I was ashamed of receiving food stamps and paying with my mom at the food line, at the grocery store with food stamps. I said, I will be happy. I will seek joy. And I did not expect life to throw the stuff, that the curveballs that life has thrown at us. But because of that rule, to be joyful, to find happiness, I always find my center. And, this is also not a superpower, but it's all related, right? Personal development. I'm sure I've read hundreds of books. And one of the books that I read that really, really stands out is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I read that my first year of coaching, and Jack Canfield was an example of someone who was helping people, but also making an income. And so that blasted my limiting belief. Some other things that just off the top of my head that came from that book, it's you have to take 100%, I can hear his voice. You have to take 100% responsibility for your life. And as a baby coach, I was like, okay, what am I not taking responsibility for? And I always go back 15 years later to that point. And then finally, Jack Canfield talked about acting as if and the importance of visualization.
I don't like that. So if you're a baby coach and you're failing, it's failing when you're not making any money. It's because you're not taking responsibility for your business and you're not doing what you need to do to make an income. It's not because you're literally in a system that's set up for you to not make any money or to lose money. So people like Barbie Kalev at the very top of the pyramid can continue to make $1 million a year. I don't know how much she actually makes, but I'm assuming it's a lot.
So I started acting as if I was a leader way before I was a leader, way before I had any kind of accolades and rank. And so that has been probably one of my all-time favorite books that made such an impact on me.
So that's the whole fake it till you make it thing. So if you're only an Emerald coach, but you really want to grow your team, you have to post like you're a 15-star diamond and post like you have the most brilliant, amazing community and that everyone's missing out if they don't join you, even if you only have 2 people in your community. So yeah, you just have to pretend that you're a leader before you actually know what you're doing, and then everything will eventually fall into place. In any other job, you're going to receive significant training and guidance to figure out how to be a leader in that context. You're not just going to be thrown into your new workplace and say, okay, go figure it out, pretend you're a leader, even though you're not. I feel like that would be a huge red flag. And I would wonder, like, why can't I get training? Why can't I why can't I take a leadership course? Why can't the company pay me to go take a course to be a better leader when it's going to benefit them in the long run? What do you think?
I answered 3 questions right there, Sandy.
I know. So good. I'm really excited. This is a call that's so important to newer coaches and existing coaches. I mean, to see that your journey has been laced with joy, that's been your North Star. You know, anything that you do, you make sure that you check yourself and that it's a joyful experience. Otherwise, you won't do it. So I am so happy.
Okay, so this part's boring. She's just going to go on and edify Barbie Kalev. And remember, in MLM, their version of edification is just talking up, kissing the ass of the person who's on the call, who is considered to be above you in status, to make the people on the call, your prospect, other distributors, other coaches, to just get really excited and really look forward to hearing that person speak. While the actual definition of edification is just to improve someone morally, ethically, or intellectually. So teaching someone an important moral lesson or teaching someone about religion, that's how you edify someone, not just being, oh, you're so amazing, I love you. That's not really edification, but that's how MLMs use the term edification. I think it's interesting. So this was a super, super long video. I'm very grateful for anyone who watched this video at all, but also who watched it all the way through. I really appreciate it. We covered a lot in this video. Beachbody is a sacred container. Beachbody is my anchor that keeps my being and my body here. I'm committed to Beachbody products. I became a better person because of personal development, not because I just grew up and aged and had different life experiences. I think a lot of what she said makes Beachbody seem like a cult, in my opinion, makes it seem like you can't be a good person, you can't find success in your life if you are not in Beachbody, if you're not committed to the products and the programs. So that's all I have for today. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.